Good morning and welcome to the 445 Productive Through Joy Show with your host and your boy, Dr. Michael Datcher. The show airs each weekday morning. Hella early at 4:45 a.m. here on YouTube's Michael Datcher channel. It's 4:45 p.m. on Facebook Live, guys. Today, we're talking about energy, a lot of energy. Drake talked about so famously, and how energy, as a component of the larger laws of nature, but also the larger universal laws of the universe, can be placed to extraordinary good. So thanks for joining us. So let's dive right into the topic. And so point one is that just as we learned about the Newtonian kind of physical laws of nature, about gravity, about things that at times cannot be seen, we just know that they are present because of experiments in living it, like the law of gravity. In the exact same way, there are also laws that people call them universal laws, metaphysical laws, that we can't see them, but they are also as real as the law of gravity, although they work differently, but they still are things that can be replicated, right? So it's not a respecter of persons or location. Anyone can do it. Not anyone, but most people can do it if they apply the techniques and the elements to see the law manifest. And if they do those things, the law will dictate a result. So this is best seen via example, work and sound, hella esoteric, right? And so one law is that what you focus your mind on grows, right? Or is attracted to you. You may have heard of the law of attraction, which is kind of a pop cultural name for this a metaphysical law. It was popularized in the book and the DVD The Secret, which is kind of a pop version of ancient African, ancient Kemetic. Egyptians called their land Kemet, KMT. There were no laws in that script, but I mean there were no vowels in that script, but we pronounce it as Kemet, right? And which means land of the blacks. It translates into land of the blacks. They call themselves Kamal, which is at times spelled K-A-M as opposed to K-E-M, but Kamal, which means black people. So the black people of Egypt, before they were invaded by Alexander the Great and other fools who helped to almost destroy that incredible civilization, had a thing that people commonly call the Egyptian or Kemetic mystery system. So a part of that system was teaching people what people would consider monks today, these laws. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here, but one of those is that the idea of using the mind, the idea that thoughts are things, and when you focus your mental energy on a thing, that thing can manifest if the conditions are right. And the conditions, like when you drop a seed in soil, like an acorn, and the conditions are right, like if there's sunlight, if the soil is rich, if there's enough space for the tree to do what it's going to do, that tree is going to grow almost every time. And from that small acorn, it's going to give birth to a big oak tree, which is crazy. So the potential growth of that, if you know the Midwest in America, how big an oak tree is, that small acorn has inherently the potential to create a damn oak tree if the conditions are right, like if there's sunlight, if there's water, if there's enough space and all that nutrients in the soil. In a very similar way, if you focus your energy and the conditions are right, like if you do it in a repetitive way, if you visualize an image, and not just visual, we call it, in my family, we call it, if you virtualize, so you're actually experiencing that thing. If you're vying for some particular job or professional success, you're at that award ceremony. You're seeing the crowd look at you, and they're cheering, and you hear the roar of the crowd when they call your name, Michael Datcher. You know, if you do that, if you virtualize, as we say in this family, like it's actually happening, you're up in it, right? That's one condition. Also, if you believe that it is already happening, right? Another condition. And if you believe in these principles, that these universal laws, which which sounds a little weird, which separates it from physical law, because the plant doesn't have to, the acorn doesn't have to believe, or we don't have to believe that the acorn is going to sprout. It just physical law says put it in the ground. If the conditions are right, it's going to grow. But although I've heard from farmers that belief that thoughts can impact, at least in a much smaller way, certain types of vegetation. That's a sidebar. But in metaphysical laws, one of the principles, one of the conditions is belief. People call it faith in the Christian tradition. You may know that word, so I'll use that. You have to have faith in this situation. I'm not sure why that has to be present, but that has to be present usually for you to see things manifest from thoughts to a physical form. So that's a part of how the mental law works. I know this sounds a little esoteric and a little crazy, actually. If someone told me this, I wouldn't believe it. In fact, I heard this before, but didn't believe it because it seemed so like, what? But once you begin to practice and do the work, and it happens repeatedly, you're like, wow, this actually is working. Then you want to learn more and do it more. This can, sidebar, will change your life. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just sharing what I know through my own experience. So, which goes into point 2. As you begin to engage in this process of engaging in these mental laws, these universal laws, or we call them metaphysical laws, and you create the conditions, all right? Also, being of service. I'm not sure why this is important, but when you are doing this work, and there's a service component, or you're looking to serve other people. I'm not sure why that's even important, but that helps the thing manifest greater. That's my experience. So these are all conditions that I've seen confirmed many times in my own work in these principles. And then lastly, as you engage in this behavior, what's so deep, what's so inspiring, and actually emotionally powerful, is that when people who know your real life, people in your family who are around you all the time, not outside, not the haters, but folks who actually know you, your kids, if you have children, or your partner, if you're married, have a lady or a man, because they're around you as you are just doing this stuff every day. Because it has to be a lifestyle. It can work if you don't do it every day, if you don't practice, but the results are much more inconsistent. But when you practice it as a part of your daily lifestyle, the things that I'm saying, again, I'm not trying to convince you, I'm just sharing from my own personal experience and the experience of folks who also use these principles. It's miraculous. And so when people see it, who know your real life, who are witnesses like my kids and my lady, I mean, it impacts them. They're like, that's their face a lot. And they're like, wow. And then, of course, they're interested in like, okay, Dad, or all right, baby, how did you do that? Let's talk about this, And then, of course, they're curious because these things are happening consistently. They're like, pfft. And they begin to try and practice, And after a while, when you see your kids, like my oldest daughter, as, of course, living with Dad and being around me, as now, of course, has her own practice. And wow, I mean, what she's doing right now, it's got a chill. Like watching her come into her full mystic power, or she's still young, but she's emerging into more of a mystic power, and watching her kind of amaze herself and grow more confident. I mean, so if you are a parent, I got such a deep chill just now. If you're a parent, we all want to help see our kids thrive and be happy and joyful and all that. A lot of us pray, as I do for my kids, no doubt. But the greatest gift I have ever given my kids is my example of living out this mystic African principle, which includes the law of attraction, the law of various other mental laws, and creating these conditions. Because now, even my youngest daughter, who's only 9, has already started to kind of, although she's super young, she hasn't totally got it, of course, but she's conscious, because we talk about it so much and she's around me so much, she's conscious of her power. Like she's that acorn that can become an oak tree. So I'm kind of preaching, I'm sorry. Boom, goes the dynamite, guys. We'll see you when? this afternoon at 4:45 p.m. Until then, let's talk about it and be about it. Deuces, I'm out.